As dawn broke over the coast of Normandy on June 6, 1944, the distinctive roar of C-47 Skytrains pierced the air, their dark silhouettes etched against the morning sky. These converted DC-3 airliners, once humble servants of civilian travel, now stood as the indispensable vanguard of history's most ambitious military operators. Engineered with strength and efficiency in mind, the C-47s bore the weight of Allied hopes on their reinforced wings. Their Pratt Whitney Twin Wasp engines growled defiantly, propelling them through a devastating hail of German anti-aircraft fire that would have felled lesser aircraft. As they approached their targets, the C-47's advanced navigation systems guided pilots through the chaos with a precision unmatched by any other aircraft of the era. The liberation of Europe hung in the balance, and only the C-47s could deliver the decisive blow. Suddenly, doors swung open. American paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions emerged, leaping into the tumultuous sky. The C-47s, steady as mountains, became airborne springboards for thousands of soldiers dropping into the heart of enemy territory. Smoke billowed, tracer fire illuminated the clouds, and the thunderous symphony of combat echoed across the channel. Some C-47s, struck by enemy fire, spiraled downward, their crews facing the same peril as the paratroopers they'd just released. Yet, where other planes would have faltered, the remaining C-47s pressed on with unwavering determination. These pilots had a mission that only their aircraft could accomplish: to deliver 18,000 men behind enemy lines against impossible odds. As the C-47s pushed deeper into occupied France, the fate of Operation Overlord hung in the balance. Could these extraordinary machines and their brave crews turn the tide for the more than 100,000 men about to storm the beaches of Normandy, or would the D-Day invasion crumble before it even began? The Douglas C-47 Skytrain, a military transport aircraft that emerged from the civilian Douglas DC-3, became an iconic symbol of World War II logistics and air power since its inception. The C-47 was explicitly modified for military use, including reinforced flooring and cargo door modifications to support its role in troop and cargo transport, medical evacuation, and paratrooper drops. Measuring approximately 63 feet in length, with a wingspan of about 95 feet, the C-47 was powered by two Pratt Whitney R-1830 Twin Wasp radial engines, each capable of producing around 1,200 horsepower. This allowed the aircraft to carry a maximum payload of about 6,000 pounds, or hold up to 28 troops. With a cruising speed of around 160 miles per hour and a range of over 1,600 miles, the C-47 could operate effectively across various theaters of war, from the jungles of Burma to the European front. Its reliability, long range, and considerable payload capacity made the C-47 a workhorse of Allied military efforts. It was crucial in significant operations like the D-Day invasions and, post-war, the Berlin airlift. Its design facilitated easy loading and unloading of cargo and troops, making it less susceptible to ground fire while on the ground. As storm clouds of war gathered on the horizon, military strategists peered into the future of combat, envisioning soldiers descending from the skies. Their eyes settled on the C-47 Skytrain, a silver bird that seemed to embody their airborne dreams. In the crisp air of early 1941, Wright Field buzzed with activity as the 50th Transport Wing took flight. Like a hive of metallic bees, C-47 swarmed the runways, their propellers slicing through the air. Within months, their cargo-carrying capacity eclipsed the entire civilian airline industry, painting the skies with military efficiency. As demand soared, more C-47s joined the ranks. Hangars transformed into classrooms, echoing with the voices of instructors drilling crews on the intricacies of their flying machines. The C-47's interior metamorphosed to meet its new calling. Gone were the plush seats of civilian comfort, replaced by utilitarian bucket seats that lined the fuselage. Specialized doors gaped wide, ready to launch waves of paratroopers into the waiting sky. Outside, newly fitted shackles stood ready to bear the weight of bulky parapacks, essential for the coming assaults. But the C-47's evolution didn't stop there. Soon, these versatile birds were swooping low over battlefields, their bellies opening to rain down vital supplies to troops below. Others soared higher, towing graceful yet lethal gliders in their wake, silent harbingers of airborne forces. Though many variants emerged, bearing designations like C-53 Sky Trooper, the name C-47 became a catch-all term, rolling off tongues from Allied command centers to frontline foxholes. As the war progressed, the C-47 family tree sprouted new branches. The C-117 emerged with more powerful engines and its redesigned tail, cutting a distinctive silhouette against the war-torn skies. These aircraft became a common sight not just to U.S. forces, but in Allied hangars worldwide, their olive drab or sky blue paint schemes a testament to their versatility. Before America officially entered the fray, C-47s had already tasted combat. In mid-1941, they soared over the vast, shimmering deserts of North Africa. Under a merciless sun, Italian and German forces clashed with the British. As U.S. forces engaged in a logistical problem with the British against Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's formidable Africa Corps, the U.S. Army Ferrying Command tapped Pan American Airways for a vital mission: air transport for British troops. This partnership saw Douglas transports introduced to the region, aircraft that the Royal Air Force affectionately dubbed Dakota. Due to the urgency, these Pan American DC-3s were dispatched to fill an operational void until the RAF could receive its Dakotas and establish its air transportation squadrons. Thus began another chapter in the airborne operations over North Africa, where the Douglas transports would soon prove highly effective and essential in keeping the British alive and resupplied in the harsh desert warfare against the Axis troops. By December 23, 1941, the first American C-47s officially entered service with the Army Air Forces, quickly spearheading new supply routes through the Air Transport Command that began providing supplies to Allied forces across India and China. In early 1942, the Douglas Skytrain became an asset of the Australian Allies, joining the Far East Air Force's Air Transport Command to deliver troops and supplies to New Guinea and the Philippines. As the war with Japan escalated, the U.S. Army designated the C-47s as troop carriers to deploy troops across the Pacific. This idea was blended with the concept of specialized units that would be inserted behind enemy lines to support ground troops. Units such as the short-lived Para-Marines would seek to use the C-47s to support their fellow Leathernecks fighting in Guadalcanal and the Solomon Islands. As supply drop aircraft, the C-47s rapidly demonstrated their strategic importance during the defense of Java and continued to operate missions into the Philippines until the American surrender in May 1942. The C-47's adaptability and strategic importance were evident in these missions, where it played a crucial role in supplying and supporting troops in different theaters of war. Although the Japanese ultimately took over most of the Pacific, the C-47s and the bravery of their pilots, who dared to fly across the open ocean, where swarms of Japanese aircraft operated, became vital for the war effort over the rugged Kokoda Track in Papua New Guinea. The challenging terrain made tactical resupply methods untenable. Still, the Skytrains adapted to these harsh conditions, landed quickly on makeshift jungle airstrips, and airdropped vital supplies to troops engaged in fierce combat. These early successes paved the way for new tactics built around the C-47s. For instance, flight nurses were assigned to the Skytrains to take care of the wounded that were extracted from battle before they arrived safely to hospitals in friendly territory. American C-47s also made their way to China, where they delivered thousands of supplies and weapons to Allied troops fighting the Japanese, keeping China in the bitter fight against the enemy. In March 1944, the transports spearheaded the liberation of Burma, inserting Special Operations Forces, the first American air commandos, behind Japanese lines. These operations were led by the eccentric British Brigadier Ord Wingate, commander of the unconventional warfare group known as the Chindits. The squadrons of Skytrains were used similarly in Europe, delivering supplies and airdropping paratroopers over Sicily and Italy during the campaigns of 1943 and onward. As the fate of Europe hung in the balance, the C-47 was about to play its most crucial role yet. In the shadowy halls of Allied command, Operation Overlord was born, a daring plan to reclaim the continent from Nazi tyranny. At its heart lay a secret, Operation Neptune, the naval assault that would deliver freedom to Normandy's shores. On the eve of D-Day, June 6, 1944, an eerie calm settled over airfields across England. Hundreds of C-47s stood ready, their invasion stripes stark against the twilight. Inside each aircraft, paratroopers from the American 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, along with their British counterparts from the 6th Airborne, steeled themselves for the challenge ahead. Their mission, to drop behind enemy lines and pave the way for the greatest amphibious assault in history. As night gave way to the first light of dawn, the air filled with the thunderous roar of engines. The C-47s took to the skies, carrying over 18,000 men towards their destiny. Crossing the channel, pilots pushed forward with grim determination, knowing that the fate of the invasion, and perhaps the war itself, rested on their wings. Suddenly, the night erupted. German defenders, caught off guard but quick to react, lit up the sky with a terrifying display of flak and tracer fire. C-47s danced and weaved through the barrage, some succumbing to the onslaught in fiery plumes. For the paratroopers, the signal to jump came as a relief, a green light offering an escape from their vulnerable transports and into the chaos below. As they descended, a hellish scene unfolded. The sky burned red, thick with smoke and the silk blossoms of countless parachutes. On the ground, confusion reigned, a blessing in disguise that left the German defenders reeling and gave the Allied forces precious time to regroup and push towards their objectives. Back in England, the C-47 crews barely had time to catch their breath before they were called upon again. This time, they towed gliders packed with reinforcements and supplies, once more braving the gauntlet of enemy fire to support the troops on the ground. As the battered pilots finally turned for home, they witnessed a sight that would be seared into their memories forever. The full might of the Allied war machine unleashed. The sea churned with thousands of ships, while the sky darkened with bombers pummeling German defenses. Operation Overlord was in full swing, and the mighty C-47 had played a pivotal role in its opening act. But the Skytrains' war was far from over. In the months that followed, it would carry soldiers and hopes alike into the skies over Holland during Operation Market Garden, and later it would become a lifeline for the besieged 101st Airborne in Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge. The C-47 proved time and again that in the hands of brave crews, it was more than just an airliner. It was the workhorse that was directly helping the Allied forces win the war. As the Allied forces pushed deeper into the heart of Nazi Germany, the C-47 Skytrain continued to prove its worth. In March 1945, the British Dakotas participated in a massive operation across the Rhine River. Nearly 15,000 troops, 700 vehicles, and over 100 cannons were ferried across, positioning Allied forces for the final push against the remnants of the German army. When victory finally came, General Dwight Eisenhower paid the ultimate tribute to the C-47. He ranked it alongside the Jeep, the bazooka, and even the atomic bomb as one of the key tools that won the war. But the Skytrain's story was far from over. In the aftermath of World War II, as a new conflict emerged in the form of the Cold War, the C-47 once again answered the call of duty. During the Berlin airlift of 1949, these aircraft became lifelines for the beleaguered citizens of West Berlin. Flying through Soviet-controlled airspace, the C-47s delivered vital supplies, staving off starvation and demonstrating the aircraft's crucial role in humanitarian missions. Even as newer aircraft began to enter service in the 1950s, the aging but reliable C-47 found itself thrust into another conflict. The Korean War saw these venerable planes delivering supplies, evacuating wounded soldiers, and dropping paratroopers behind enemy lines. The Skytrain's versatility once again proved invaluable in a new theater of war. As the Cold War intensified, the C-47 adapted to new roles. During the Vietnam War, these aircraft were transformed into flying electronic surveillance platforms and centers for psychological warfare operations. American ingenuity even led to the creation of the AC-47 Spooky gunship variant, showcasing the airframe's remarkable adaptability. The C-47's service to the United States military stretched far beyond what anyone could have imagined at its inception. From 1946 to 1967, it served with the Strategic Air Command, and astonishingly continued operations with the 6th Special Operations Squadron until as recently as 2008, a testament to its enduring capabilities. However, perhaps the most remarkable chapter in the C-47's story came after its military service. Countless surplus Skytrains found new lives in civilian hands. Airlines and private owners alike recognized the aircraft's reliability and versatility. Some of these repurposed C-47s remained operational as late as 2012, nearly 7 decades after their wartime debut.